And welcome to Out of the Blank Podcast.
It's so weird. Like there's two things that's different. It's like, imagine if someone else intros you, and then also I like it when people say my name in a podcast. Like, so I understand it's not at the bottom. It says Out of the Blank because that's just Zoom. But when someone goes, "Yes, Robbie," I'm like, oh, "You remember my name?"
Well, Robbie, how are you?
I'm all right and feeling kind of. I just woke up, so my brain's slowly coming back to me. It seems like the light is being shed in. Like, when someone opens up the curtains to their house and the light just comes in, you're like, I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready.
When you start a car up after it hasn't been started for a while and it just revs up really loud and it's just like,
dude. So I went, so in my town right now, there's a fishing tournament. There's $9.4 million if you catch like the biggest fish, which I'm like, damn it, I would have got a boat at this point and I would have got me a marlin. But I went at the gas station. I went to go back to my car and I to hit the unlock button, and my car didn't make the unlock thing. And I'm like, and I did it like 5 times. I was like, no, did my battery just die? And it's an older car, so I was like, dude, I'm not ready for this today. Not today, please. But no, it was just the unlock button that was messed up. I was like, oh, because I hit the lock button next, and it was like, all right, that works. So it has to be working.
So what's new, man? This is what, take 3? I'm like a veteran on the show by now.
You mean episode 3?
Yeah. Okay.
Take 3 makes it sound like this is our 3rd time recording this. Like that, all that was on the moment of you introing us in. Yes.
Yeah. To clarify, this is episode careful. 3.
You have to say certain words because certain words mean different things now. Like spunk apparently means something dirty in another country. It doesn't mean like spunk. You have a nice jive to you.
Got some spunk. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's like God, I don't even want to say the word because it could probably get us in trouble. I'm gonna say what people in Britain call cigarettes.
Oh yeah, you can't say that anymore either.
Can't say that anymore.
What's the next one we can't say? Am I gonna keep being able to say peach correctly, or is that going to change into something else? Peach is an acronym for piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding.
You can't call them a peach anymore.
Oh, damn it. Those damn peaches.
Right. Think of the peaches.
What's a fruit that you would find? What's a fruit that would be offensive?
The word fruit?
Yeah, like what's a
fruit? No, just the word itself, fruit. If you use it wrong.
Yeah, you can't say that anymore either.
You can't say fruit anymore.
And it's a little bit
we just demonetized this episode.
Whoops.
What are we in? We're 2 minutes in, maybe.
I feel like
fun.
Orange is borderline. You can't even say borderline anymore.
Yeah, you can't say border. That's a loaded term. There's just no borderline and borderline.
Well, if you're this far into the show, we thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. I was kidding.
Until next time.
3 minutes in, just restart the whole thing.
Dude, that's our show on Libservative. We kind of like, it's the same thing. It's kind of like the hot button topics where it's like, how is this not? How are we not allowed to talk about this? Why is this not even being like just in a broad spectrum of things?
All right, so Mr. Libservative host the show. It's all about I'm guessing it's liberal, then also with a slight bit of conservatism to it.
Yeah, that's why we call it that. Yeah, so the show.
I played mashup in school.
Yeah, mashup. And so it's like last time I was on the show, we were talking about it getting ready to be launched, but now we have a few episodes. We just ended our first season actually, and it was about the social media civil war, or perceived social media civil war, and we kind of talked about how real it was and how real it wasn't. And so like our conclusion, well, I don't know if I want to give away the whole conclusion because I want people to listen to it, but we think it's kind of overblown.
What's a hot button topic in your mind though?
Like right now?
Yeah.
The lab leak theory.
No, we're not doing that. No,
we're not doing that.
I've said it way too many times. Damn it! I'm tired of it.
How now it's just everyone's just talking about it like it's like, yeah, we knew this the whole time, guys. Like, what are you talking about?
And then people saying like, no, there's no concluded evidence. Biden hasn't said anything. I was like, Biden doesn't know where he's at. There's someone obviously running his Twitter because his tweets are better than mine, and I'm pretty sure I don't have Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
so there's no way a person with Alzheimer's or whatever you want to say is beating me in tweets.
Yeah, I'll just say it that I'm really, really glad that Trump is out of office, but in that same breath, I'm going to also say that Biden is a wet fart in a hot tub. And
You know what? I had a peaceful past couple of days. I was like, look, I got to take a little time to myself. I'm going to connect with the Robbie inside of me. And then guess what? I went to the beach, got a little bit of sun, and I was like,
nice.
this is so nice. I don't have to worry about anything political. The people were sending me political stuff all the time. And I was like, no, I won't even go onto Twitter because my buddy's like, that's a liberal stomping ground. I was like, he's not wrong. It
He's
literally
not.
is just people fighting back and forth and back and forth. And it's like, you shouldn't have to walk up to someone and identify as my name is Robbie and I'm and then say your political party. Like that just
Right.
doesn't make sense to me. I'm like,
Nope.
we're ordering ice cream. Like, what are you talking about?
Whoa, you're gonna get some blue ice cream there? You fucking.
Whoops. I wore a red shirt today.
Is this red ice cream? You fucking commie. You're not gonna seize my means of production. We are actually talking. That might be our first shirt. For the podcast, is not gonna seize my means of production.
Good shirt. I
Yeah.
feel like at this point, it's like if that's what is that the next trend though? Is just everyone's now a political commentator.
I think that we're kind of honestly, I was thinking about that the other day because now we don't have Trump stoking the fire all the time, and everyone likes to. No one likes to talk politics. Let's be honest. Like we literally just said that, and Trump kind of forced it down everyone's throat, everyone's like face. You know, the media was just consumed with him because it was great for ratings. Well, now we got a real guy who can't formulate a full sentence. And, you know, and everyone's like, oh, well, he has a stutter. And it's like, well, there's a stutter. And then there's just outright dementia. So, and I feel like, though, because he's not being antagonistic, it takes two to tango, sort of. So, like, the government's kind of getting quiet again. So people are kind of falling back into their grooves of just doing their daily lives, not paying attention to the politics, which isn't a good thing. I think one of the things Trump did, honestly, was make it that I approved of 100% was make everyone pay attention. Most of the people didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. But I mean, I think if it went a little bit longer, people would have started to wise up a little bit. But
I'm
before we
so
just got
happy.
started, Trump's gone.
I'm so happy I'm not vested into anybody like Biden, Trump. I don't care for any of them. The
Thank
real,
God, man.
because
It's so nice to just call them both fucking idiots.
I don't, they don't, to me, they don't scare me. What scares me is like the real throes of business that are slowly taking over basically and crushing out the small working man or small working person. Like the censorship issue that you want to talk about, a topic that'll get me fired up
Ooh,
is
that's a good one.
a censorship issue. The fact that like now for even Teespring, apparently sent me an email talking about how they're going to jack up their prices now because they're how big of a platform they're becoming, how Zoom has to do updates because now everyone's using their product. They become the reliant source. Somehow we've got it worked into our brains that we have literally relied on these businesses or looked at. First, it opens up the door as an advantage. Like me holding the door open once for you to get into your car. You're like, well, thanks, man. That's really, you didn't have to open up the door to get in my car. And you're like, you're welcome. Then you expect it every single day. And then it's like, I don't even show up one day. And you're like, where's he at? You've
Yeah, all of
become
a sudden,
reliant.
I gotta open the door,
Yeah.
and now my button's not working.
And I mean, maybe that's a problem for us, but we've literally we've given too much power to too many companies now. Like my biggest thing I want to do a push for, which I hope people start realizing is like very, very dangerous that we've let it lead this way, is that we've given these giant corporations too much power where now that needs to be regulated. And I get it because they're
Mm-hmm.
self-owned business. So when they talk about censorship, I understand that 100%. But it's gone too far now. And
Yeah,
it's scary because now if they can only limit to certain things that are able to go onto their platform, even though they are a private owned company, you're now restricting the flow of information where you're just pinning up people to go against each other left and right. I mean, you can't say even like something about like my buddy talked about how I wanted to hit myself in the head when I messed up that thing. It was so obvious. I was such an idiot. And they go, that's for self-harm. And it's like, you flag that for self-harm. It's like, man, we're getting into some weird territory here.
yeah. I'll even actually flip it, kind of what you said when you said we're giving too many companies power. I want to say we're giving too few companies power, and they kind of have the gate to where there's only a couple of them, and they all have the power. I mean, like Parler got shut down. There wasn't the company that chose it. It was the company above them, Amazon, that just said we're not going to let you use our web server anymore. Like what? Since when did Amazon get to choose when people get to go on the internet or not? You know, it's so I'm 100% there with you with that censorship thing. It's yeah, sure, they're private companies. I get that they get to make their private decisions, but at what point are these platforms when they brag about being, oh, we're like the town square, a soapbox, you know, they try to hide under Section 230 because they're not publishers. They say that people publish on our website, that we're not being held liable for it. Then fine, stick with that. Stay with Section 230 of the whatever. I forget what clause it's under, but Section 230 makes it so they're not liable for things that they say. And it's like, well, then fine, stick with that. And at what point are we going to start calling these services utilities like AT&T, you know, like a phone line? People aren't cutting people's phone lines off because they're saying things.
Did you ever see the recent Joe Rogan episode with Naomi Park?
Yes, yes, I saw that one. Did you? And she also was on Jordan Peterson. Did you see that one?
I only saw the Joe Rogan one. I like Jordan
Insane.
Peterson, but I don't know. I can only have time for my friends' podcast consumptions and then also Joe Rogan's podcast consumption. Anything out of
Yeah,
that realm, I end up being like I'm listening to too much of like different shit.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm kind of blessed. I get 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day right now, where I can just zen out at work and just listen to podcasts and books and stuff like that.
I have to do it on my free time because we can't listen to podcasts at work. So
Those
it's like,
bastards.
well,
Sounds like we gotta seize their means of production, huh?
the one time I tried to do it, I'm like, there's only one person that works the register, and then there's nobody else there. It's just you. So then you have a bunch of people trying to check out. You got a headphone in, you're listening, and next thing you know, you're just like, oh no, he fucking didn't. It's like, what did you say? It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm listening to a podcast.
Right. But yeah, it's I like to listen to quite a few of them, try to get a different perspective on as much stuff as possible. But the Omni Park one, that's fucking insane, isn't it? Where she's
Well,
like,
it's just weird how like they talk about like even in the 90s in Korea there was a huge cannibal issue because of how bad they were starving, that literally parents were eating their own kids on the
yeah,
aspect they were afraid that they were going to die, and then they didn't want their kids to be eaten by somebody else. And then they talk about what's going on over there now, and I never even thought about like how they what would they even consider freedom. Like freedom to them is like that's seen as like mad, they make it like Mad Max, where that's freedom is throwing a Molotov, people are just driving around running over other people like it's an annual purge. And then it's like, no, it's nothing like that. It's actually just being able to say the things that you want to say, even if there's repercussions to it. You're able to say, we live in a amazing place. As much as I might shit on America, for instance, over a lot of the issues that goes on here, I still give credit where credit is due. And for a couple hundred years old, it's doing pretty damn well. And
yeah,
it sucks because everything you see is so divisive, as it's not as if this is a terrible place. I mean, there's a whole institute in Russia, which I'm pretty sure we probably have institutes too that do the same exact thing, but they literally create trolls online just to spark up animosity in between people. And when you listen to her talk about like this just Korea and all the issues that go there, they took everyone's dog for food. And like even saying that
yeah.
sounds
They didn't say it was for food. They
horrible.
said it was what they say it was for was because dogs are dirty or something like that.
Yeah, and I actually looked up the article,
But
and
you
that
know, it's for food.
so the article, well, see, that's the thing is like even saying that could be considered racism. But I looked up the article in an episode after I mentioned that. I was like, to make sure I'm not getting, because this, it's even saying that just sounds racist. I looked up the article. No, they used it for food because their cattle were infected. And you're like, oh my God, like that's a fucking horrible thing. You start hearing the story about how she was like walking and she saw a boy that was begging for food where his organs were literally coming out of his body and somehow was still able, conscious of being able to ask for food, flies going on top of his organs and dogs literally staring at him, waiting for him to
Waiting
just
for him to
drop.
die.
That's, dude, that doesn't make your heart break. And it's funny because I saw that episode.
That's what's even crazier. Sorry to cut you off, Robbie. Is
Go ahead.
is
I'll rant if you don't, so just go ahead.
She said she didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Remember? Because like that's just how it was there. Like she didn't know what freedom was because she didn't know the word. She didn't know what oppression was because she didn't know that was even a thing. That's just so mind-boggling to think about how here we're so self-entitled because we have just the freedom of thought that there you're afraid of your own thoughts.
That's
They
here too.
established a religion.
Well, that's here too. We're not out of the realm of not feeling bad for someone. We feel bad for some people that we know. But like, for
Yeah.
instance, my town just found the body of a 17-year-old boy who ended up getting dragged out to sea and then drowned. And they've been looking for 3 days for him. So I mean, people are like they like the article, sharing it around when he was missing. But after they found him, like, thank God he's found. Nobody's talking about like this is a horrible thing. We need to make sure like we have better security or better safety when it comes to lifeguards or
Yeah.
better. Nobody talks about that type of stuff. It's even when you see someone who's an idiot get severely hurt or dead or get something happen to them, you're like, fucking idiot. There's no like, oh my God, this is, and it's, you think that it won't end up leading there. It will end up leading there the more discommunicated or the more disconnected we come as people. And that's what's really interesting is that if you just examine the West, that's going to end up hitting here in like 50 years.
Yeah, like yeah, as we get bigger, the more people are going to get more tribalistic. It's just easier to compartmentalize and be numb to it than actually try to unpack those feelings about the fact that a 17-year-old died and his whole family's upset. You know what I mean? Like for you, it's like, oh, that's a sad face react. And then you go on and then you laugh at a video. Meanwhile, this guy's family is torn apart. But yeah, no, it's something that is absolutely here. I think the difference is though, like people were jumping and trying to share the article to actually try to help the kid, because even though they were being fat and lazy on their couches on social media, they still didn't just walk by him and just be numb to it.
Well,
You know what I mean?
why?
It could lead to that though.
Yeah, but the weird part is how the world works now is like back when you used to want to spread the word of your podcast, you would make stickers or make all these business cards and go stamp them around town and give them out or just throw them out in the street. And now it's like the way to do it is you have to pay a certain company to be able to try and promote your podcast online. And it's like,
There's paywalls on everything.
well, it's like now we've given every single, like we don't have the wheels to our car anymore. We now have, we're, it's like instead of driving everywhere, we're just taking Uber everywhere. It's like now we've relied too much onto this where we've lost the ability to be able to grow our thing with our control. There's too much control now where everyone's getting a piece. You know, if you're going to sell on Instagram, Instagram is going to want to get a small fee for selling your products. And it's like, well, I have my own store set up. They can just click the link in my bio. No, you can't do that anymore. We need you to set up Instagram shopping if you're going to sell products.
Really?
Yeah, it's not fun.
I'm surprised they haven't been sued. I'm sure that eventually there's gonna get sued over that, because like what is it? Blizzard was just suing Apple
For
over
what?
their was it no, not Blizzard, it was Epic Games, the Fortnite team. So Epic Games was selling their game and selling add-ons and stuff for their game on the Apple Store, and the Apple Store was taking a huge chunk out of it. And then so I forget the exact semantics, but I know Epic is suing Apple for the sake because of their sort of monopoly on the marketplace and the App Store.
Am I crazy or do I find it very, very strange that when I buy something very expensive or I buy something, I don't get the full fucking item when I buy it. I always have to do an add-on or do some type of other thing that comes out later where I'm like, you didn't even unlock my full device. I had to buy additional content for another fee. It's like, well, that's how the game's played. I get it if you want to make money. But geez, you don't make it easy for someone that's trying to get like the full purchase out of their item. Sooner or later, you bought the water bottle, but you didn't buy the water. Well, can I just buy the water then? Yeah, but then you're not going to have anything to put it in. It's like, well, I brought my own container. We don't play that here.
Yeah, nope, you got to use our container. Yeah, no, I play this game. It's called Archero, I think it is. It's on the phone, and you pay to get past the ads, but then you still got to buy the fucking jewels to buy shit in the game, and it's like, well, what the fuck? What did I like? It's like you end up watching ads anyway.
Dragon City. That's what Dragon City is. Let me give you a gem pack for $3.99, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's enticing. You're like, all right, I can do that. $3.99.
Dude, I only need 50 more gems to get a new vest for my guy that's gonna up his HP. What?
Wasn't there a big scare that GameStop was going to go out because of all the streaming services? And it's like, I still see GameStop though. Like, what happened to you?
I think they're just gonna get a lot smaller. They're gonna have to cut off a lot of fat. I think what's gonna happen eventually is, at least like it seems like in my personal city, the way I hear like the city council members talking and stuff, I think a lot of that type of stuff is just gonna become more of a niche. There's gonna be no more room for a big corporation to do it necessarily. It's gonna be a mom and pop shop again. there's not enough like customer base for GameStop to have 6,000 stores throughout the country. It's gonna be one person owning a place in an area where there just happens to be a bunch of people that like to buy and sell physical copies of video games.
Yeah, but see, I was thinking Blockbuster was going to make a comeback because I was seeing way too much stuff about Blockbuster coming back, and I was like, I only pictured getting a high rise of traction the first week it's opened, and then it would just end up slowing back down because people realize how much it sucks to go to a Blockbuster and pick out a DVD. It's fun for the one moment you do it, but then when
Yep.
you want to go back and actually keep doing that on a regular basis, you're like, all right, I realize why this is all now on your computer, why everything's like, and it's just weird to see how like what's going to be like in the next 20 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a niche. There's only gonna be a certain sect of people that actually want to do that.
They called them DVD files or digital
D-
files.
Yeah, DVD
Cinema
files.
files. That's what it is. Cinema
Oh,
files.
people who like to own the physical copies.
Yeah, it's like now that the movie theaters open back up, everyone's all about going to the movies.
When you can stream at home. Yeah, I have a friend who just prefers to go to the movies. He just loves the experience.
It's a great experience, dude.
It
All right,
is.
I went to go see the new Fast and Furious when it came out, like the very first day it came out. Okay, first of all, I hate the fucking franchise. But when I was sitting in the theater and I had the recliners, I went to hit the recline button and it stopped halfway. And I was like, did I just get a broken fucking recliner? I was like, if they think I'm not going to switch seats, they are wrong. But the screen went out in like when they were showing the advertisements, it just went out. And before the lights dimmed down and everything. And then it was just sound. And I was like, is is anybody gonna like are we gonna say something to somebody so somebody can see if the screen's okay or where's the picture at? The movie starts playing and there's like what 50 other people in the theater. Nobody's getting up to say a single thing, just waiting for someone to turn it on or fix it. And I'm like, this is the issue.
movie.
If the
Yeah.
lights went out, how long would you sit there before someone said something? So I was like, I'm getting the fuck up. And I got up and I was like, I want to go say something to somebody. He's like, oh yeah, it does that sometimes. It'll turn back on about like a minute in. And I'm like,
Are
okay,
we gonna get a discount or
but I'm just saying how many
Right.
people sat mindless just sitting there waiting? Well, someone's going to fix it. Someone's going to notice it. It's like, no, a lot of times people don't notice it. And this is how we get into the situations that we're in is because then we realize it later.
no one wants to make a move? Everyone's kind of just waiting for someone else to make the initiative.
It's like two people at a bar that really like each other. And they're just sitting there like nod their head up and down at each other. Like, hey, how's it going?
Dude,
How's it going?
like the scene in It's Always Sunny with Charlie and Mac where they're looking across the bar and they're just sitting there staring at each other and
Can we just take a minute to appreciate who Danny DeVito is?
oh yeah, Danny DeVito is a good man. He's like a Bill Murray. He's just a legend.
Yeah, but he doesn't get the respect that he deserves.
He doesn't.
And I think it's just because Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the way that show is kind of scripted and the place, like the location of the show.
They
Like-
make him trash.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's seen as like a crappy TV show, but you actually start watching it. It's actually really freaking good. Just the production value is not like what we like when we see it. Like I just saw like Willy's Wonderland, for instance. I love that fucking movie, but the direction or whatever the filming on that movie is like A-star, like director quality filming. They got a great camera, and you could probably do that with like a stupid like music video or something for 2 minutes. But Always Sunny is shot like if a dude's holding a fucking camcorder and just walking around.
Yep, I think that's the point too. 13 seasons that show's made it.
Oh, they're going to probably do a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, I've heard this thing where it's they compared It's Always Sunny and Big Bang Theory, and it's like It's Always Sunny is a show about dumb people for smart people, and in the Big Bang Theory is about smart people for dumb people.
Well, okay, so what would you rather be on? Would you rather be on a show that doesn't get much popularity, but you always get like a good amount of money coming in, or you'd rather be in a hit show that's going to make you a lot of money in a short amount of time?
Like Big Bang Theory. I don't know. I guess that's where your passion is. I'm sure Danny DeVito didn't give a fuck about the money. You know, he only went on that show because his daughter liked the show.
I didn't know that.
So he checked it out and he liked it, and he was only supposed to be a guest initially. But they ended up just staying on the show for 12 seasons.
That's a commitment. That's a commitment.
Those guys are fucking geniuses. That show's so good. There's such a deeper meaning in any single episode.
Well, if we talk about like, for instance, like the way that it's going or the way that these giant corporations have a lot of power, Scarlett Johansson and the Black Widow movie.
Mm-hmm.
with Disney that just put it all on one single platform and a streaming thing instead of she made money off the box office and she was upset about it. And now everything's getting turned. There's literally actors that are coming out against her. And it's like, what? Like, if I was her, you're looking over at like The Rock saying something about you, like, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't even, we've never been in a film together, but he's owned by Disney.
Yeah. Yep. It's like, what's his face? What's his fucking name?
John Cena.
John Cena apologizing about Taiwan.
That's just freaky about how accurate he is in his, I might as well play that if I could find it.
Oh, him saying sorry about that?
It's just how fluent he speaks. It's very, very scary. Where like, I think anybody that's ever going to see any movies like the new Suicide Squad or any of that, it's just very, very interesting. So I don't think anybody's going to be able to let that go. Like they all, like everyone knows the kid who shit their pants in school. Anytime you see that person, even as an adult, you're like, remember that time you shit your pants?
Yeah. It's like, hey, you're that guy that shit your pants. He's like, that was the 3rd grade, asshole.
Like, doesn't matter. It sticks with you forever.
It's like that one girl that she's just an agitator. I think her name's Caitlin Bennett. She's on the right. She's that blondie. She runs around and just has those 2 big bodyguards out there and just talks a bunch of shit to a bunch of like leftist woke liberals on college grounds, and they get pissed, and then the big bodyguards stand in front of her and she tweets like, oh, these people tried to attack me. I guess that chick shit her pants in college. So every time she posts something on Twitter, everyone's in the feed just going, shut up, you shit your pants in college.
So here's the apology thing, which I didn't know, is like, me and you know it, but a lot of people I've talked to about that, they go, what happened with John Cena? I was like, you don't know? Like,
He called Taiwan a country.
Yeah. So here's.
And former pro wrestler John Cena has touched off an international controversy.
Cena apologized to the people of China after calling Taiwan a country during a promotional interview with a Taiwanese broadcaster.
Taiwan is a country. I mean, it's an independent country. John Cena is not alone in Hollywood in towing that line.
我必须说，现在就是很重要。我爱更尊重中国，更中国人。
Let's just understand.
Is that him saying sorry in Chinese?
Yeah, but I just want to understand one thing: is it's so weird seeing Hollywood people without makeup. They look completely fucking different. And then my girl Jennifer Aniston, she had come out against anti-vaxxers. She's like, I've cut anti-vaxxers out of my life. And I'm like, what are we labeling as an anti-vaxxer? What is someone who maybe might be having a kid finally after so many miscarriages that is afraid to get the vaccine when she's pregnant finally because she's afraid it might hurt her baby? Gets labeled an
grandpa.
Yeah, but it's labeled as an anti-vaxxer. I'm like, we talk about the ones that go too insane, that go, you're a piece of shit if you don't get it. And then we have the ones that go, I'm never going to get it because it has microchips. What about the people that are just unsure and don't see? Please, for the love of God, tell me the benefits of getting it compared to someone that doesn't have it. You spread it the same, it just lessens your symptoms. None of these people that say get it give a fuck about you when you tell them you don't want to get it. They go, good, I hope you die and get COVID. That's exactly what they fucking say to you.
Whoa, hold on. Yeah, like me, like I haven't gotten it yet. I'm for the science and I still haven't gotten it.
What,
like I give I
thought you got it though.
No, I haven't gotten it. I give blood plasma and I have to wait a couple weeks.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Blood plasma? Oh,
I just picture them taking a gel out of your spine and putting it into a jar.
No, it's funny. Like you get paid for it. You don't. It's not just a donation. It's right now there's a little promotion where I'm at where it's $100. Yeah, it's $100 for each donation.
I want to see the advertisement for that. You donate blood plasma, and it's like some old person.
No,
puts you into a jar.
You hook up to a machine. They take your blood out, and then it spins in this little like colander thing. It separates the plasma from your blood, and they put the blood back.
I just picture you sitting in a wheelchair with like an IV hooked up to you.
It's a really comfy chair, actually.
And up
sitting there laid back.
Yeah, some person goes to you, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I hope you get rid of your cancer. And you're just like, I can't tell this person.
I'm here making cash.
I'm over here getting paid.
Dude, you're there for an hour. I like think about it. $100 an hour.
Where do you stand on this? Why is it so strange to me that when I see those posters of the kids that like Make-A-Wish kids, they're not real Make-A-Wish kids, they're actors. And
Yeah.
I don't know what I want from them. Do I want them to actually take pictures of a kid that's dying? Because then you look at that poster maybe a year later and say that kid's not here anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. You know, like you want someone who's like kind of cheery for your commercial that can act.
I don't know. I want a sick kid telling me that he's dying of cancer, and then I should donate $1 because I feel even more like shit. Why do we have
Yeah.
SPCA commercials? Do you think
Yeah, I was
they
just
film
gonna
the
bring those
fuckers
up.
in the cage?
It was
What
make
are
you
we
sad
talking
and
about?
cry. I never donated money after. I'm just
Well,
like,
it's
oh,
weird
that
because they
commercial sucks.
they
You
need
mute
to,
it or switch it.
they need to plan their timing out. They tell you about a kid starving in Africa, then the next commercial is the SPCA. You think more people are going to donate to the starving kid? Fuck no. They're going to donate to the dog or the cat that's
Yeah.
crying with Sarah McLachlan. Be like, I could save them, but I just can't save them all. I'm only going to save the pretty one.
Yeah. Yep. All these assholes buy these dogs when they're puppies and then ship them off to the fucking pound. I don't understand. I didn't think this greyhound would get, or not the greyhound. I didn't think this Great Dane would get that big.
Who was that famous person that was walking around town with a tiger?
Is that Mike Tyson?
No, there was a famous person that ended up getting a tiger as a pet to keep the paparazzi away from him because no one would approach him with a fucking tiger to ask questions.
I don't know.
Which I'm like, how do you maintain that and expect that? Maybe like how like news and all this stuff makes everything blown out of proportion. We're like, that's not exactly what happened. This is actually what happened, but they're blowing it out of proportion for views. Maybe that's like that with animals. Maybe I should go and try and pet a bear and see if the bear actually bites me in the dick.
How do you get a license for that?
What, they have a
you know,
tiger?
yeah, like, you know how like you have a dog license, like when you walk your dog around, there's a leash law and stuff.
Just check
What
your
sort of
state.
stipulations are there? Yeah, I guess, yeah. I think Michigan is an exotic animal state. I think you can own certain exotic animals here.
You can own lemurs in Maryland, but you can't own anything of a cat that's over like 20 pounds or something like that. Which
Really?
is like weird guidelines. Like in Canada, for instance, you can have a pool in your backyard and put a dolphin in it.
That's pretty cool. I'm surprised that's actually a thing in Canada for as like progressive as they are about shit.
Well, that's why they have a giant issues with Marine World. Marine World's like the Sea World for the United States, but it's in Canada. And what they do is just one person decided to open up a water thing in his backyard. And next thing you know, he's got like all these rare exotic animals that are in horrible living conditions. And
Like the Tiger King.
Yes, exactly like that. But it's in Canada.
So when do you think that Netflix special is coming out?
I don't know. They might as well. They're probably going to film it right now.
Yeah.
Hey, got a
They
good
probably
idea.
are.
Dolphin man. And just fucking run out in the backyard.
Yeah, the dolphin god.
All right. If you could choose to bring back an animal or choose to have a farm of animals right now, which one would you want?
Ooh. Oh man. If I could bring an animal back,
I'd bring a dodo back.
what? I was actually thinking the dodo because I'm
That's my
going through my
mascot.
mind of like what cool animals are, but are those cool animals going to turn around and literally bite me in the ass? Like
Funny thing
saber,
is,
like
they don't eat meat. They eat plants.
the
and
dodo bird does.
insects. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, they were all on one island by them. This is why I have it as my
Mhm.
mascot.
Galapagos.
Well, it's out in it's called Mauritius or something like that. Off the coast of Madagascar. A bunch of English settlers ended up hunting them to extinction and eating them. But they were all on one small little island, so they had no natural like predators or prey. They just kind of like ate the vegetables and all the stuff or whatever the fruits.
So when the
and all that
humans
stuff.
showed up, they were like do do do, and everyone
Yeah,
thought they were retarded.
So they're just
stupid.
naive. They're not even dumb as
Yep.
shit, but they're huge. They're like the size of like the biggest rooster that you've ever. They're like huge. Like you have to like have two arms around it, not just like you can't
Yep.
just have one little small little bird thing.
with that big ass stupid beak.
Fuck you. I like that. It's a cute little beak.
sorry, I didn't mean to.
When are we gonna get
Okay.
Pokemon? I just want Pokemon.
Oh, real life Pokemon, dude, that would scare the shit out of me.
People would be murdering like a motherfucker.
Walking around in the woods, and all of a sudden a fucking Pidgeot shows up. Yeah, they're pussies in the game, but like a Pidgeot will fuck you up, and if you're by yourself, you have to have your own Pokemon.
Have you checked out the actual size of those things in the game? They're like, to us, they're like small as shit. But if you actually look up the size of them in the actual Pokedex, they're like a Pidgeot's like 4 feet. You're like, Jesus Christ, that could fly
Yeah,
off with
see.
you.
Yeah, you're dead. That's it. like you'd have to have your own Pokemon to fight for you. Like if they popped up now, they would go into extinction within a week.
We have animals on this planet. We don't need to make Pokemon. We just need to find a way to capture them into a Pokeball. So you're sitting at a fucking fish and chips, and a dude just pops out an alligator. You're like, holy shit!
Yeah, I'd get a horse.
What would a horse
seen that
do
video of
against
the
an
horse?
alligator?
You ever seen that video of the horse kicking the shit out of the alligator?
No, whenever I see a
So
horse,
horses, yeah. So Mustangs, they're natural predators for like their young and stuff like that, or like kind of like because they like reptiles and things like that, and they actually they fight alligators and snakes and cougars. They fight all that shit and they beat the shit out of them.
how does that battle go?
They just hoof
An
'em.
alligator
fucking
versus
hoof
a
'em.
horse?
Yeah, it was this alligator. There was this horse farm, and then there was an alligator, it was like in the Everglades or whatever, and there was an alligator in a ditch, and it just was like, oh, I'm just gonna go get some sun and mind my own business. It came up out of like this out of the grass, and someone saw it, so they started recording. This horse came up, got on its hind legs, and came down and just started stomping it. Turned around and just started bucking at it and kicking the shit out of it. It hit it so hard the alligator did like 3 backflips, tried to bite it, missed it, and then just went back into the water.
I have more. We need to get a bunch of horses in Florida.
There you go. Yeah.
That's
Well, the
crazy.
pythons might fuck a horse up though.
Whenever I watch a
pythons are
horse
down there.
video, it's always like some dude like standing behind it and the horse just bucks and kicks him right
Yeah.
in the mouth. It was called Horse Dentist. He completely
Yeah.
lost all. Daniel Tosh. I started watching Tosh.0 again. That man's a fucking genius.
He's funny as fuck.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, he does. He's too big. He's too big to get canceled.
don't
There's
know
certain
about
people
that.
that like, if he'd have to like drop like
That's
a hard
a-
F.
That's
Like
a
on the show.
slippery slope.
I mean, I think there are certain people who can't be touched. Like, I don't think Joe Rogan could be touched.
He was for a little bit. And you know what's funny? You
tried.
mentioned that. Excuse me. I was watching top heated moments of Joe Rogan. It's like it was a Facebook video, and there were like some arguments that he's gotten into where it's like you start to see like his escalation of where he's at now. And it's funny because all of his videos are coming back to YouTube. So like I guess his year contract's up. And it was around this time when he signed up for Spotify. So now YouTube's like uploading all of his old or letting all his old videos become public. And it's not just the hard hitting ones. Like he has Miley Cyrus, he has Eddie Bravo on there. He has everybody's back on YouTube now. But you start looking at it like he completely did change when he went to Spotify, not on the aspect of people being restricted. And I know people said, well, you know, he's not the same person he was. I've watched him from the beginning. He used to be way more confrontational with people, where now he's more about asking questions and kind of leading the conversation a certain way. Back in the day, it was like he used to be like, and I see it too with my show, for instance, like from when I first started, was like more questions and understanding someone's thought processes, which is still that show now, but now it's like free flowing conversation where we'll hit the fucking vaccine topic right in the start of the goddamn episode. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, he's become like a better interviewer. You know, he's kind of figured out, because like me especially, like I'll go back and I'll listen to my stuff just so you know that you take little mental notes and little different things when you listen to what you're saying and stuff like that. And I don't know if he does that, but you can definitely like like his first episode, especially if you go back to the first one, he's just fucking around with the shit in the background, the snowflakes and stuff. And now he just has that look like he's like really listening intently to people. And yeah, I think he's just gotten better at just interviewing people. Like there's better quality, I think, you know, like as he gets better at it.
I think it's because, like, for me, like, I have to find someone that I find particularly, like, I would like to, like, Skype a scientist, or like where you get to meet these researchers is a pod match site. Like, I think we talked about it before.
Matchmaker.
You talked to me about like doing podcast guests and stuff. I'm like, it's so hard because they're only good in that specific area and they want scripted questions. Now, if you trust me enough to start hitting you with some real questions that I have about a certain topic that you study in, I can do that, but I can't just think up stuff ahead of time. It has to come in the moment of things, where I'm not going to.
You want it to sound organic.
Yeah.
You don't want it to sound like an NPR broadcast.
Like, Corey, tell me about the first start of your Libservative podcast that you had. Now, what do you call the people that support your Libservative movement?
Well, Robbie. Yeah. Actually, I don't know what we call them. I don't know. What do you call the out of the blank fans?
I don't think
Blankies?
I call this the OOTB family.
The OOTB
You're part of
family.
the OOTB fan. Or
I know.
I
I'm
can even
here.
fucking say my own synonym or acronym right.
OOTB.
OOTB family.
The OOTB fam.
OOTB.
The OOTB fam. I don't know. What would we call them? I kind of want to do something like maybe Wall Street Bets and call them space monkeys or something. Or deplorables.
Brown boys.
Just the just the proud men. just put a little spin on it. Speaking of the fucking Proud Boys, did you hear that the leader of them was an FBI informant?
Gavin McInnes was one of the major ones.
Yeah. So that's something to talk about. The fucking FBI. So you remember, I think last time we talked, remember there was that whole kidnapping plot in my state for the governor?
They were going to kidnap him?
Yeah. A bunch of the 3%ers, the militia. They said, well, that's how the story initially was. The narrative.
Good luck.
Was, they were going to kidnap her, put her on a little raft, take her out to the middle of Lake Michigan, and leave her.
Jesus Christ! What kind of
Well, Lake
fucking
Michigan's a
person was
big
planning
lake.
that up?
Have you ever been to any of the Great Lakes?
No,
No, you should come out. It's a great fucking time.
not really left my town unless it's Vegas or Hawaii.
Oh, Hawaii's fun. Actually, well, I can't say either are fun. I've never been to either, but it sounds like fun.
To me, it was
Farthest west I've
nothing.
been is Cali.
I'm from a beach town, so like,
Yeah.
I went to a different beach. It's
Yeah.
not.
So
it
this
wasn't
would-
enticing.
This might be kind of cool for you though, because imagine the beach where the water isn't salt and there's no sharks or jellyfish.
There's
but
an
the waves are
ocean
still big.
out there that is nothing but it's too salty, so it's impossible to drown because you just float.
Yeah, the Dead Sea.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, nothing lives in it because it's so salty.
But do you come out like super dehydrated? Like, I need water.
Probably
Water.
like SpongeBob. Water.
Sandy water.
I don't need it. I don't need it.
I'm Dirty Dan.
Yeah, no. Are we about to quote the whole episode? No, I'm Dirty Dan. No, so out here though, it's the lakes, like it's literally like the ocean. Like you can't see the other side, you know. We got waves, we got tides, and but it's not salt. There's no salt, there's no sharks, there's no what are they called? Jellyfish.
If I gave you a position of like power, or I give you a position to choose one thing to focus on in specific, what would you choose to focus on?
Maybe
I can give you an example if you want to think on it.
you thinking like environment or
Well, I just saw a video about a guy that was able to scan the corpse of a mummy, like one of those mummified remains, and they were able to recreate his vocal cords using a 3D printer and then blow air through it and create the first sound of what he might have sounded like, which I'm like, I want to focus on like trying to preserve or at least make history more fun, not kind of the brainwashing that happens where you come across someone from Seattle that's like, you're white, you need to pay. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because Yami Park just talked about that in that episode. What's this generational guilt? Because that's what they do in Korea.
Yeah, she said a lot that was like fucking very, very like, she was like, yeah, a lot of that is over there as well too. And you're like, oh shit, like we're becoming the people that we are so afraid of.
Yeah, I think we really need to come to terms with what happened instead of everyone just going, well, it wasn't me. And it's like, I think everyone just needs to go, yeah, well, it happened. So we need to at least admit it at the very least and just figure out how to not let it happen again.
Well,
when it comes
Netflix
to,
is now
like,
releasing that special at the end of August called Dear White People. And I'm like, why do we have a title like that?
yeah,
You're telling me if that wasn't the other way around, somebody wouldn't flag that shit?
yeah, that's yeah, exactly. It's a weird, like, it's hypocritical. I mean, right now we're working on trying to make our country more like equitable and more equal for people. You know, we're trying to fight qualified immunity. We're trying to fight all these different systematic injustices in our country that held back minorities in our country since the inception of it. And one of the arguments that people use to combat the stereotypes when people try to talk about these minorities is they're not a monolithic group. They're not all the same. They're individuals just like you. But then in the same breath, they make things called Dear White People. To where, you know what I mean?
like
Where
I
it's like,
said,
"Oh, we're not a monolithic group."
If I was a place in power or a person in power, I wouldn't be focusing on a lot of this. Like I have to focus on things in the past that we can like that we know of. Like, why is there
History
still
gives us perspective.
Yeah, well, why is the
love
9/11
history.
thing not figured out yet? Why is the JFK thing not figured out yet? Why are we just moving on to the next thing rather than figuring out where it came from? It's the same shit with the lab. It's like everyone's trying to move forward and go forward, which I understand. But it's
forget
like,
about that.
and like the thing is now is like, oh, it might have actually got released in August 2019. Everyone's like, see, that's not September, so we're not wrong. And I'm like, you're just a fucking own
you're
up,
right.
dude.
History is important. So like that's something actually you want to talk about, the vaccine and the history and stuff like that. So in my mind, this is still like a thought process that I'm working out. So it might sound a little rough around the edges, but
Shoot.
okay. So do you ever hear the Tuskegee experiment or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. So that was affecting minorities. All right. So right now in the minority communities, vaccine rates are lower than in other communities. Probably because of things like what happened to like the Native Americans with smallpox blankets, the Tuskegee experiment. They were literally, what's it called when you make someone where they can't procreate?
Sterile.
Yeah, they were making women, Native American women and black women sterile in our country from one time or another. So there's a reason why they don't trust the health industry. But now what we're doing is we're making it so vaccines like, oh, well, you can't get a job if you don't have a vaccine. Oh, you can't go here if you don't have a vaccine. Well, guess who that's going to affect the most? The minority communities. And it's like, I thought those were the ones we're supposed to help. And it's just, yeah, it's like, everyone is just trying so hard to outshine each other that they're shitting in their own Cheerios.
I'm just not a fan of the fear mongering and the doom scrolling that happens throughout social media and everything like that. Like, that's why you got to take breaks from it too. And it sucks because a lot of my episodes becoming super political a little bit. And it's not a fault of the guest. It's just on everybody's fucking mind is like the first thing you click onto your phone is something like this. And it's like
the climate right now in the country.
Anybody just go to the FOIA website, the Freedom of Information Act website. I typed in a bunch of shit. First of all, I was drunk and I typed in JFK. Then I typed in JFK 9/11 to see. Well, I typed in JFK and then I typed in 9/11 and it didn't clear my search. So it tried to search up JFK and 9/11. So I was like, wait, hold on. That's not going to get me anything. Let me go backtrack. And I was after like 5 minutes of trying to figure out
just
why
an ad for tinfoil. They're like, here, sir, make a hat.
So then I was like, all right, then type in Wuhan lab. And there's articles like going back to like 2013 talking about this thing, like in a lot of other countries. But everyone releases it as like, oh, that's a Trump conspiracy. It's like, dude, the first person to literally print an article that I read on air about was a guy in Germany who was like the ambassador down there. It was talking about it came from that fucking place. And it's like, why did you lead all your information in fucking January of 2019? Then why'd you pay $1 million as a cover up for a security detail? And it's like, oh, look, I'm not saying it came from there, but I'm saying to say that we can't look into that because it's racist, or we can't look into that because it's improbable that it came from there. I'm like, then when the fuck, like, when are we going to look into the 9/11 thing? Why were they selling the scrap metal from the towers a week after 9/11 had happened?
Yeah. 9/11 is definitely something that it's like,
and that episode number's coming up. So I've studied that shit.
Yep. Oh, episode 9/11.
Yeah.
Nice. I like how you're going to do that.
It's a 7-hour episode, so get fucking ready.
So
I shit you not, it's 7 hours.
Is when Trump came out. And so when you actually like, it's history. Like when you talk about trying to look at things from a perspective and stuff. So you should have made it 9 hours and 11 minutes.
It's not finished. I still need one more person to help me tone it back down.
So under Trump, so when Obama was president, he outlawed gain of function studying and anything to involve American labs. That little the sunset clause on that like ban ended in 2017. So once 2017 ended under Trump, it made it to where people can mess with and add gain of function to different viruses and stuff. So it kind of makes sense in 2019, 2020 when Trump is like, yeah, I could have came from a lab.
But when you like,
because he fucking knew that the clause ended. So I'm sure he knew that they were doing it again.
If you just look through any old government experiments, or you look at anything from that Naomi Park interview, you think any country is above, or any country like that is above doing anything to their people? There's probably shit to us that's happening right now that we don't even realize is
Well,
going
we literally
on.
just talked about Tuskegee and the Native Americans with smallpox banquets.
We
and
just
let's
don't do
talk-
it here. We do it somewhere else. They have the courtesy
we
to do
do
it at
do it
fucking
here.
home.
Look at Berkeley, just in the 60s. We shot our own college students because they were exercising their First Amendment right.
And also the government was drugging people to do the anti-hippie movement, where they would teach you about the horrible issues of LSD and drugs, and you realize it's not like that at all. But then, like, that, who's that one person that still wants the world, all drugs to be legal, because he wants the world to be dope so they can just go around in the background and do a bunch of crazy shit?
Yeah, who was it that said everyone should do acid at least once? Was it Ram Dass?
I think
Timothy Leary, maybe?
s-
Joseph
so-
Campbell?
someone like in one of these giant Bilderberg groups or whatever was talking about how they want to make drugs legal, like every single drug, because they want to dope up society. Let's talk about the homeless population. Why?
He's trying to Aldous Huxley us, the book Brave New World.
Have you checked how much funding gets put into the homeless population, like to fix the homeless issues?
Isn't California alone like $1 billion?
Dude, there's so much so that anybody that involves in trying to get these people out from being homeless, like actually get them a good functioning life or anything like that, guess how much they get paid a year?
Yeah. This was the Jimmy Dore episode, right?
Yeah, guess how much they get paid a year?
There's a couple $100,000 and stuff.
$200,000 a year. And what they do
Yeah.
is like, okay, well, we cleaned your tent up and we cleaned up your heroin spoon. It's like,
So why would they
thanks.
solve the problem? Why would they solve it
Exactly.
if they're making the money?
That's the
Yeah.
issue, is that you have to find people and you have to give them, here's $15,000 a year. Yeah, you're not incentivizing them to work extra hard, but you're also incentivizing them not to want to keep their fucking job by making people poor. I had a therapist come on this podcast, a friend of mine who's been on a couple of times. He was telling me, he goes, I am truly, like, my goal is to make sure I'm out of the job. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, when mental health is officially gone. He goes, but the issue with a lot of therapists is, why would you want to make sure that you have no job security? You want job security by making sure the world is mentally unbalanced, that therapists have a position to be in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fucking true. How many jobs can you name that we only have them in place, and it seems like the problem's not being fixed, and the people that we hire to do that fucking job are not fucking fixing the issue, because then they would be out of the job.
Exactly. So I think what we should do, like if we want to talk about like creating a policy of sorts, we should make it all community service. All of those different jobs of helping people, helping the mental like the homeless, the people with mental health issues, like litter, all these different sorts of things. We have millions of Americans with college degrees who are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And then we got people in prison over trivial crimes like holding a little bit of bag of weed on them. How about we make it to where if they do community service, they can get some of their student debt knocked down, or they can get some of their time in prison knocked down. You know, you go out and do 30 hours of cleaning up parks, and you get, $500-600 knocked off your student loan. You're saving the government millions of dollars by not having to hire somebody. You're getting all this labor that's basically free. And you get people coming out and being a part of their community.
I think the world needs to adjust to understanding that college education, all these types of things that used to be laudable things to get 10 years ago and were kind of like the standard of just getting a good job, is not the norm anymore. It's not. We're in a world now that's completely different, and it seems like the times are adjusting way too slow. And I don't mean in times of equality, which in a case, sure, that's going slow too. But people don't find, like, it's not about teaching anymore. It's about forcing the change. It's about condemning someone if they're not able to catch up quick enough. And it's like, how many things are we going to be saying in this podcast that maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, are going to would get us fired if we said, like, things taken out of context, things that just the words don't translate well. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, there were things that were happening back in the day that was like Tropic Thunder. That didn't translate well. They luckily slid that in, and then nobody even talks about that anymore.
Oh yeah, Tropic Thunder with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
doing blackface. I guess it has to be, so with blackface, I guess it would have, like,
Jesus Christ, Corey, come on.
I guess it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Don't even
maybe.
talk
'Cause, like,
about
how
it.
did people get away with it? Like, well, Robert
Voldemort.
Downey Jr.
It's Voldemort.
Right. But whiteface is okay. It's funny as fuck. When Dave Chappelle does whiteface, I fucking crack up.
When he talks about heroin addicted whites, everyone laughs.
Look up.
That's a big issue.
Look up the music video Red Mercedes.
I don't
The
want
three
to.
rappers in it, they do whiteface, and it's funny as hell, dude. They look goofy as hell because whiteface looks goofy because blackface looks goofy. It looks funny. I don't want to say funny, but it looks goofy as fuck.
Stop. You're not even on your own show. You're on my show.
I know I'm on your show, but what I'm saying is,
piece of shit. Just kidding.
It looks, but like, it looks.
Do not
goofy
support
because
the
it is
claims that
goofy, I
Corey
guess,
Walsh
what
is
I'm
saying on the episode of Out of the Blank podcast.
I'm saying it looks goofy because it is goofy. You know what I mean? Like it was but like the
idea that
connotations
comedy
behind it was definitely meant to make black people look terrible.
Well, the idea
Whiteface
that
definitely. I guess I had to round this up to make it sound like I'm not just some Clayton Bigsby racist, right? I guess what I'm saying is like the negative connotations behind blackface are absolutely real. You know what I mean? Like that was based in racism and based in negative stereotypes and stuff like that. Whiteface, I think, is funny because it's a shot back.
Well, when did we get into a land where people couldn't sense what an actual person meant by the things that they're saying? Instead, they take the words that they hear, they hear certain key words, and then they consider it, this is what you meant to say. It's like, but did you listen to the thing? Did you hear the way the person's saying? You talking to me, I know you're not racist. But people will just be like, well, he said these words, that means he is. It's like, why are you're taking, and then you rile up people so much so. It's like everybody wants to side. Everyone wants to seem like that, but they don't understand that hand turns. Who was that guy that protested against the schools trying to get like this certain racial thing that was going on? And they all turned against him eventually, and they kicked him out of the thing that he started. I forgot who that guy was.
Oh, man. It wasn't Eric Weinstein, was it? One of the Weinstein brothers?
No, I forgot what his name is. I'm gonna try to search him up on my phone, but he was doing a protest against the school for some type of like standards or something, or quality of admission for letting these people in. Then he said something and they all fucking turned against him and bit the hand that was like leading the whole movement and thing. I'm like, you're the guy. Everyone wants to be the person that's leading a bunch of people into a charge. But then as soon they don't understand that you rile up a crowd so much, you'll say one thing and then it's like you're floating in a pool of piranhas. Yeah, they might not bite you at first, but how long until that fish decides to take a nibble? That counter is just counting down, and then eventually you're in this ravaging pool of piranhas.
Yeah, kind of like what happened with Gaddafi, that dictator or whatever. Like people liked him and then he got vicious and then he tried to be
disclaimer on this episode.
Yeah, well, no, that's just history.
Christ.
What? I know. Okay.
What's really strange is that back in the day when you were a kid in school, people used to take something and try and shove it up your ass and say you got Gaddafi'd.
Oh, yep. I didn't know anything about that. I'm just talking about the dictator.
Kids like that I knew, like from different schools around here, would like take something Gaddafi, and they go like that and try and like fucking shove something up, like hit you in the ass with it. And
he probably did something really bad.
It was because of the South Park episode.
He wasn't a good leader at all. I wasn't trying to imply that, but like he came out.
Did you see the video of him?
Which one?
Where he's dead, like where they killed him.
Oh, I know. They walked up and he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And it's like, "You literally murdered like my family. Why do you think I'm doing this?" They took
a knife and they stuck it up his ass in a video when they killed him. Okay, that's the whole Gaddafi background thing.
Okay,
that was turned into a joke with kids where they would take a stick and hit you in the ass. But Gaddafi.
Oh God!
And it's like Naruto, where they do the 1,000 years of pain and they stick the 2 fingers in the ass.
Yeah. He went from a vicious dictator and all of a sudden tried to be like a nice guy and started getting along with all the world leaders and stuff. But there was all of that like built up angst of remembering who he was before he became this nice guy. And then they turned on him. The whole country did and just fucking murked him.
It's like Operation Timber Sycamore. When we supplied Cuban rebels or Cuban friendlies to be able to go against Castro to overthrow their leader. Then we ended up losing like so many assault rifles and guns that are now littering the black market today, where we have.
Was that Timber Sycamore or was that Bay of Pigs?
Timber Sycamore? No, it's Timber Sycamore.
Okay, Bay of Pigs is when we tried to invade. Yeah, you're right. Timber Sycamore was before Bay of Pigs.
There's a lot of wars that have gone on.
Yeah. So Timber Sycamore was when the Cuban Revolution happened, because Cuba was kind of like a Puerto Rico. for us. We had like businesses there and stuff like that. And then the Cuban Revolution happened and they wanted to nationalize their commodities. And we were like, well, what the hell, guys? How dare you try to be an independent country? And so they got like, so we got pissed. And that's when we tried to start. We did Timber Sycamore, Bay of Pigs. And so we shut them out and did an embargo on them. And they were just this small little island by themselves. And they had no one else to go to. So they went to the Russians.
I look at like if you go on the CIA website or the Freedom of Information Act website and you just look up like government, like any government, you can type in government keywords or certain country keywords. They'll flag any article in your search that happens to do with that country's keyword. I just looked up Taiwan and it's like an article from like 50 years ago because they always release it 50 years later. It's exactly what's happening now. It's like Taiwan's like China and Taiwan's escalations are rising very quickly. And it's like you start to see like Taiwan's biggest fear of like all the people talking about there, like eventually China's going to come over and take us over. We're going to be a part of China. And it's like, what does China want? China doesn't recognize them as a country, wants them to be part of them.
Yeah. Even
like
though
Alaska, if Alaska was like, we're going to be our own country, like, hang on a fucking second.
Yeah, we probably would. We'd probably be like, yeah, you're not doing that.
You know?
Puerto Rico is kind of doing that. And they're kind of just stuck in this little purgatory of being between like their own thing and a state. They should just be a state, I assume. I mean, it's our land, right?
Well, that's what the weird part about like the vaccination thing is. Like Florida, everyone wants death to DeSantis. How is that a trending hashtag? What are we fucking talking about here out of everything?
Death to DeSantis? Wait, that's trending?
Death to a person. Just in general, and I get it. If you don't like what he's doing or you don't like things that he's saying, a bunch of Florida people don't really like what he's saying either. But just the fact that a death to somebody is trending. It's like people don't like to be called a Nazi, but they got away for calling Trump a Nazi for the longest fucking time. And I'm not even pro-Trump. His identification card thing looks like a fucking Nazi passport thing.
That new one does, absolutely. It absolutely does.
What do you want your business card to look like? I want a golden eagle on the front. Well, it's going to trend with Third Reich on Twitter for about a week.
When you look back at everything he did and the way he did it, he was nothing more than a heel from WWF. He wasn't a fucking Nazi. He wasn't
the Wrestling Foundation.
He was a wrestling heel. Yep. Yeah, not the Wildlife Foundation. You know, but he was literally just a heel, sitting out there and making the faces in the podium and like brushing things off with his hands and just doing all this crazy shit.
It's the movie Idiocracy, where you elect Terry Crews to be your fucking president, and then we just have monster truck rallies.
He was a wrestler. Yeah, no, that's really like, it's so funny. Everyone was like looking so deep into it when he was just playing the crowd.
It's very interesting to see how like when you get like when I was a kid, I used to think like the system is did the system just change to where it's now more noticeable because the ideas of social media, or is it just the fact that we're older now, we're able to realize this stuff that's going on?
I think we're just older and realizing what's going on.
Even like my parents, they'll talk about like, this has never happened before. Like this is, I can't believe the world's gotten like this. It wasn't like this when you were a kid. And I was like, yeah, like, is it maybe social media just put a giant screw? Do you want to know what's happening in the background? Would you prefer to take the blue pill and just go back to everyday society, or prefer to take the red pill and be opened up to everything that's going to be happening around you? Like a lot of people rather just live with their head in the sand. A lot of people don't want to associate with any political stuff at all.
That's what I was saying earlier. That's why no one likes Trump, because he was making everyone pay attention to all of it.
Well, it's like everyone's got their sides to him, but the fact that like we're not even addressing the Biden thing about how he's taking $500,000 from anonymous buyers, and like now he's selling paintings and he's selling it to them. I look at it like, man, when are we going to start questioning things without somebody going, oh, you don't like Biden? Well, then you must be a Trumper. It's like, oh, I'm not fucking either. I don't want government to have as much power as they do.
Exactly. I'll say it again. Welcome to the Libertarian Party.
It's funny because like I took the test in an episode, and then he was like, you want government to supply you healthcare? I'm like, hell yeah. Government should definitely supply healthcare. Government should be helping you out and giving you free money to be able to get the medical stuff you need fixed, because I've been in that situation. He goes, yeah, but imagine if the government gave you a car and then that car crashed on the highway because they knew the car was bad and like the tires flew off of it. Then you tried to sue the government. Well, you can't because they gave you the car in the first place. I'm like, oh, fuck, don't give them the Medicaid power. Don't do that. Fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
all how you sale pitch it. The sale pitch is a fucking swing and a half.
Oh, for libertarianism?
No, just anything.
Medicare. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
Pitch
I
me the
think-
worst thing in the world. I could sell you being a Nazi perfectly.
Yeah. Whoa. I'm over here calling blackface goofy, and you're putting disclaimers down, and then you're over here talking.
It's how they. Did you see any of the old Hitler videos? Like
Oh,
he
yeah,
was,
dude,
he was on
groupthink and-
meth.
Oh yeah, groupthink. Anytime being a part of something is just intoxicating for people. Like I was down at the Black Lives Matter protest in Detroit, and I was at the one in Sterling Heights, and being around those people when there's just a common cause, when you're surrounded by thousands of people, it's very, very intoxicating. You know what I mean? It's real easy to get wrapped up in that stuff. So it's like, it's probably would be easy when everyone's being a Nazi.
Just like I'm not going to go in full force like with everybody about Rand Paul. I want to know what happened, why his neighbor had to tackle him and almost kill him by puncturing a fucking lung. I want to know that backstory before everyone starts. Like at the Black Lives Matter protest, there were just pallets of bricks and pallets of like all these things laying scattered all throughout the city. And it's like nobody leaves those things that can easily be stolen. So I'm like, who was incentivizing with like this age of provocateurs to be able to do these types of things? Before I go 100% into like, I want to know, like, people like the weird part about like when you rile people up like that is that all thought gets thrown out the window and everything becomes
a group thought.
Well, it's a
group
reaction
thought,
of emotion.
Well, I mean, it's like you're talking about the bricks or whatever. Like everyone, like immediately, everyone's just like, no, that's not happening. But even Martin Luther King talked about instigators being an issue at his protests.
And they killed him when he started going against the government.
Yeah, they didn't kill him for talking about racism. They killed him when he started talking about the classism.
That's the same thing with Malcolm X.
Mm-hmm.
And-
When Malcolm X stopped being so militant about black people, or about white people, when he stopped being so militant and he started to talk about class issues.
People
So
look at like,
murked him.
if you're going to run a country and you just want, it's like being in a kindergarten classroom. You're the adult and they're kindergartners. You can do whatever you want, but as soon as that first child starts getting old enough to where you can start questioning things, you start having an
moves on
issue.
to the next grade. Kick him on to first grade.
Yeah, it's like, damn it, now they're not doing what I'm saying. I can't have him contaminate the group. It's just like religion. Government's like that too, and that's everybody's government. They want to run their country the way that they want to run, so they're in a competition with other countries. They're not even thinking about you. So the best way to keep your attention is by dividing you even more.
Yeah. While the powers that be continue to get more power and more money. Like
That's
right now,
what I appreciate is the fact that
right now we have the
powerful people are.
CDC. Yeah, that's right. Right now we have the CDC doing legislation. How the fuck does that happen? The CDC is supposed to be there for guidance. And now they're blocking these moratoriums, which I mean, like, I can understand the arguments of both sides 100% for the moratoriums or not. It's like, we don't want 11 million people as homeless. Like, that wouldn't be good. But,
Are you sure?
I mean, there's enough of them
It
already
might
in
be
Cali,
more
right?
profitable.
It might be more profitable for those certain people that are cleaning tents, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're secretly going, yeah, send them our way. We got a bunch of tents lined up. Me personally, the empath in me goes, you're like, I don't want to see people homeless, but I'm house searching right now. So it's like, let's add a couple more houses to that stock, let's bring those prices down a little bit.
I think when you start to really try and put the work together to change these people out, they're all just going to realize that, no, you don't have any power. And like these people if people want to do cocaine on the street, they're going to do cocaine on the street. People want to fucking suck dick in the middle of the road, they're going to suck dick in the middle of the road. It doesn't fucking matter. You can't force change into someone that doesn't want change. It's the same thing with going on in this world today. You can't force people or guilt people into taking something they don't want to take. You can't do all these types of things, mostly because a lot of people might just like, there are some people, for instance, like don't want to get the vaccine. They don't even take Tylenol. They want their body to naturally beat the thing that's going on. But now it's like people talk about like, why is there a protein jump or a protein thing that these create this lambada, this vaccine resistant thing? And it's like, well, maybe because instead of doing herd immunity, you introduced the vaccine in the first place.
We're throwing antibiotics at everyone.
But it's like, imagine if everything's at red line, you're trying your best, like your house is on fire. You're trying to get everything that you need out of the house. You're going to end up forgetting something. You didn't prep. You ended up like doing a spontaneous trip and then something happens. Same thing with the rollout of everything. Everything was way too quick. And then people don't want to even talk about that. And you're a nut job for even saying that. It's like nobody's saying vaccines don't work. Stop lumping it into that group. They're just saying.
Yeah, what's confusing about it is the fact that they expedited the emergency
how How is it not
approval rating.
FDA approved?
Right. Like, how is, and like, oh, well, it takes time to do that and stuff. It's like, how is it expedited under this emergency thing? But then now we're back into this same old government bureaucracy rut for it not being FDA approved, to where now we've had the vaccine out for what, 6 months at least? And we have such a big case study because literally millions and millions and millions of people got it. And guess what? Millions and millions and millions of people are okay with a couple outliers. So at this point, should it be FDA approved? I'm assuming it would be based on.
That's an annoying ass ringtone.
God, you're telling me.
Ding,
I don't even know why I have one set for 5 p.m. Oh, I was recording yesterday at 5:15 and I was taking a nap. I was doing the same thing you did today.
That's literally what I was going to do. I was like, should I set my alarm? But luckily my body was like, it's 3:36, time to wake up.
It's such a weird time to wake up.
I'm surprised I got right into the politics after getting right up from a nap.
You must have been sleeping on it.
It's the liquor.
It's the liquor's calling the shots now,
Brings
boys.
out the politics.
That's actually one of our little things we do between seasons. It's called bourbon banter, where we just sip on bourbon and just talk about things going on. Like right now, I got this whiskey. Actually, it's called Fistful of Bourbon.
Why don't we have any passive liquors like Cloud Dream of Daylight?
Because have you ever drank whiskey and it was like just trying to chill? No, it hypes you up. You want to talk about politics? And you want
Old smoky peanut butter whiskey mixed into a slushy is my weekend event that will be happening.
Ooh, nice.
Watching Suicide Squad 2 this weekend.
Nice. Oh, so what I was saying was, so the FDA expedited the emergency approval, right? But then
Why
they
don't you get the vaccine, Corey? Don't be a piece of shit. Don't kill grandma. Get the vaccine, Corey. Get the vaccine, Corey. Get the vaccine.
I literally am, with my lack of CSO or with my lack of plasma, I feel like I am putting more people at risk by not donating my plasma than I am getting the vaccine. Does that make sense?
It's a good answer, but people will still want to burn you at the pitchfork for it.
Bring
Did we
it
ever
on.
look at the Salem witch trials about how many people just hated the fucking person and decided to rat on their neighbor so they can get a better home?
Groupthink, man. Groupthink. These people that are going to be ratting people out for not getting the vaccine are the same people that would be ratting out Anne Frank. Changed my mind.
We're very, very scared when it comes to the point of people are going to be lit on fire for not having the vaccine. We got to make sure COVID doesn't go to your body and evolve.
Yeah.
If anything, the COVIDiots people that these people label as COVIDiots for not getting it, then they die. And then what? You get your way. You don't have to worry about this person spreading fake information, right? So then why do people play the guise of I give a shit about the people, but will condemn those people a second later for not agreeing with them? It's just
maybe it's
that
because they
power.
know that the virus is like a 99% chance survival rate, so they know that asshole is still going to be sticking around.
I don't trust that 99%. I'm like, I don't think anything's 99%. Even Germex is like, hey, we're 99.9. I'm like, what's that 0.1? That 0.1 scares me.
It's COVID.
We couldn't clear it. People start eating Ziploc wipes.
But no, I get it. I mean, I remember when COVID first came out.
Or Clorox wipes. Ziploc is a bad company. When
COVID first came out, they were only testing the really sick. So it was like a 10% death rate. So it was like, everyone just stay the fuck home. We need to figure this shit out. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'll sit my ass right here. But then as we moved on and that number went down and everything, it's there was no pivot. There was no oh, well, maybe it's not this deadly. This area, we didn't get localized. We didn't plan things accordingly. It was just these weird blanket mandates over everything. All of a sudden, the CDC is making legislation where I'm 100% for the government saying, no, let's not give evictions. But don't cop out and do it through a bureaucracy, unlike our founding fathers intended. You guys all sit your ass down and say, get off of your fucking summer break, sit your ass down in Congress and legislate some fucking bills. Work it out.
You would think
that's what we hired, or that's what we voted you guys in for. Don't make some company or some bureaucracy institution that is literally there for guidance. Because you know what they also guide us on? They also say we're not supposed to eat runny eggs. They also say that we're supposed to have steaks at 165 degrees, and that's well done. I like my steaks with some pink in them, And when I make my fried eggs, I like it to where I can dip the bread into the little yellow yolk a little bit. You know what I mean? CDC says I'm not supposed to do that. When is the CDC going to say that we can't do that anymore? Are they going to start just making mandates about everything now that they got this power?
You would
And
think
what pisses, I'm sorry, I'm going on a little rant.
Go
And what
ahead.
pisses me off the most is the fact that a year and a half ago, like people on the right were like, oh, this is going to be a power grab for the government. And then I remember saying like, dude, shut the fuck up. People are dying. Sit your ass at home. Wait it out. We're going to be fine. But now we got this censorship going on. Now we got, like I said, fucking bureaucratic companies or bureaucratic institutions just basically making executive orders, superseding the president himself, and just saying, well, no, can't do this, can't do that. All
See,
because
what
Go
gets
ahead.
what gets me is the fact of like, why are people so worried about someone else's health, even though they condemn them and they call them a piece of shit for not getting it? It's like, but it only affects that person. Are we not looking at the clear science in that? Like, people are looking at it like you're infecting people. It's like you can still do the same exact thing. All it does is lessen your own symptoms. So if people
Yeah.
don't want to get it, they don't have to get it. Worry about your fucking self. There was one senator who said that in a thing. He's like, do you have the vaccine? And the person's like, yeah, I got it because I care about people. He goes, then why are you fucking worried? Why
Yeah.
are you trying to just worry about your fucking self?
You did your part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it got political. Like I was saying, like, FBI. We were talking about the FBI.
It was
So-
fucking called Trump's vaccine. And now that Biden is control of it, people are pro getting it. The people that said, I'm not going to get it because it's Trump's vaccine. What the fuck are we talking about here? I feel like I'm
Fucking
smoking crack.
Kamala Harris said it in the fucking debate. You remember that? She said, I'm not going to get that vaccine. Yeah. It's wild. And that's funny. What's really funny now is what I like to say, just to troll people a little bit, when the people are talking about gas prices going up, lumber prices going up and stuff like that. And everyone's like, oh, fucking Biden, gas prices are up now. Like he called oil. Like, hey, oil, raise gas prices up. And they're like, yes, sir. No, I'd like to tell them it's Trump's fault. And they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's Trump's fault? It's like, well, it is. It's Trump's fault. You know, a year ago, he was saying that we're going to be creating a vaccine, Operation Warp Speed. We're going to create a vaccine.
What the
And
fuck?
he goes,
Who names these goddamn things?
yeah, him, I'm assuming. But he said, remember, he goes, by April, we're going to have these vaccines rolling out and we're going to be getting back to normal. Everything's going to be opening back up.
Operation Turbo Dry. Put the vaccine in the
fuck
water and
me.
put it in your bidets
Yeah,
and shove it up
yeah,
your
well,
ass.
yeah. He definitely fucked up with that part. But fuck me sideways. Guess what started coming out on April? The vaccine. But the lumber industry, the gas industry, all these different industries were following what the media was saying. They're saying, well, this is the new normal. It's going to be like this for 2 years and 3 years. So when these industries plan their output based on supply and demand, they plan it on futures of 6 months to a year. You know what I mean? So they thought we were going to be all fucking locked out for another year. So they made less oil. They made less lumber. But guess what? Now everything's fucking hotcakes and everyone's out there trying to buy shit and drive around and build shit. So there's not enough supply and there's more demand. So to slow the demand down, when there's a lack of supply, you raise prices.
My biggest issue is the fact that the damage control and all this, you think we would have more people focused in or trying to fix everything going on, but it's like everyone's like, well, we'll do that in a week from now or a month from now. It's like, well, what do we all sit your ass down and start getting down to some of these issues that we're having, because we're not fixing them. This is not something you can just gloss over. This is not something that you can just pass and saying, in 2 weeks from now, this is going to be implemented. This is stuff you need to start working on right now, because this is an issue that we're facing right now, and nothing's going to get past it until this issue is fixed.
Yeah. Yep. It's just trying to kick the can down the road sort of thing.
I'm surprised we talked already for an hour and a half.
Wow. Has it really been that long?
That doesn't feel like that, dude. I don't know if it's just
No.
because I'm still waking up or if it's a thing that just...
Robbie, our conversations are like butter. Just like melted butter.
I don't know about butter, maybe like
pile of
sharded
flapjacks.
glass. Jesus Christ, we hit the hardest topics. There's gonna be some person out
We
there
hit
like,
some good
these goddamn, they're all just rebels. That's all they're talking
these
about.
anti-vaxxing. Like, I don't know how they'd pinpoint us though.
I said I'll get it if it's proof that I'm not going to be. If I can spread it without getting it, then I'll get the vaccine because I don't want anybody dying from it. But I'm not
would've
going
gotten
to
it
just
by
get
now.
it because it's about lessening symptoms. I won't even take Tylenol or Advil because I want my body to naturally take care of the issue. And plus, I'm not too happy with life anyway. Fuck it.
Is that a cry for help?
No. To cry for more whiskey solutions. Send me whiskey.
Semi whiskey.
Aged
Like
like a
just a
saddle in a
bourbon.
barrel.
You want to age like a bottle of grapes.
Ugh, that's wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
that pretentious.
Is it pompous to drink wine?
I just can't believe that there was a thing or a person with a blue check mark that said Jesus would have gotten the vaccine. I'm like, now you're making anybody that doesn't get it anti-religious.
Jesus would have just healed people that were sick from it. He
I don't-
wouldn't have needed a vaccine.
Isn't there a religion that you can't transfer blood from body to, from person to person?
Oh,
That's
who
like
is
the
that?
old
That's
Christian one, isn't it?
That's is that the Church of Latter-day Saints?
Mormons?
Pentecostal, maybe Mormons.
I'll start my
clear.
own religion.
There you go. That always goes out great.
I don't.
That always ends great.
The only difference between the word cult and community is one sounds better. They do the same shit.
Cult. The difference between cult and congregation is just the syllables.
What's another word for Congress?
Cult? No, not cult. I don't know. What would be another word for Congress?
Snake oil salesman.
Snake oil salesman. Yeah. Yeah, our founding fathers definitely like did their best to like fight against all of that. And
See, I give them a lot of credit for predicting a lot of the stuff that was happening. Like
Mhm.
nobody could predict social media, but predicting that the government would have a total control of power. Like I look at George Washington, that guy was a dude that had an ego issue. I can tell because I have an ego issue. So when I look at someone that wants all the credit, it's him. When I look at someone who's doing the inner workings of shit, who's like slowly manipulating the minds of people, Benjamin Franklin. He was 50 when everyone was in like their early 30s. Like he was in his late
Yep.
50s.
he was a very influential figure. You think Washington was egotistical?
I definitely think so. Why is every single painting of him like with his arm out, like strutting forward, like he's moving on to this brave new world? And I'm like,
Yeah,
you have to
I think that was
set
a
up-
thing, but he didn't even want to be the general of the army. He only said he'd do it because everyone asked him to.
Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
How many people wanted Trump to run and then they realized
Right.
his ego issue?
But yeah, because it's funny because he
It's all
kind
what
of
gets
kicked
recorded
off-
in the history books, buddy.
He accidentally kicked off like he was a big player, like accidentally, and like so before the what was like one of the biggest catalysts for like the actual Revolutionary War that sent us off into saying fuck the crown was the French British War. So that put Great Britain heavily into debt, so they decided to try to tax the colonies. But like one of the things that set that off was, I think it was the Battle of what fort was it?
Little Bighorn.
No, it wasn't Little Bighorn. I think that's
Guantanamo.
like shit, right?
The Alamo.
There was some battle to where some Frenchmen showed up to a British outpost and they just said they wanted it, I think. Like, I might not be 100% right, but Washington basically said kick rocks and they went to war.
The only
And
battle I can think of with the French is the Alamo
that was the Spanish. And the Mexicans.
versus the French.
No, the Texans.
Who was what was the battle with the French? There was one significant battle I remember that would happen to do with the French.
Were we on France's side? Because if we fought with France, it would have been north, because we bought Louisiana from them, so we didn't fight for that.
We talk too much shit on the French. They funded the lab as well too.
The French is the reason why we beat the shit out of Great Britain. The Revolutionary War was actually like the First World War. No one calls it that. We just call it the Revolutionary War because our American history is taught in a vacuum. But we were literally hiring. It's such
Glossed
a vacuum.
over that so quick. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
because of the vacuum. This is common knowledge. Everyone's like,
So we were hiring. We had Germans here fighting for us called the Hessians. Or wait, no. The British had the Germans for the Hessians.
Maharaba.
So I don't even know who that is.
It's in a movie. It's like a villain in a movie. They call him the Van
Robert
Dams.
was there. So no, there was Germans fighting with the British, I think, and we were France and we were America, I think Spaniards might have been in there. There was definitely we were fighting in the Caribbeans. There was Caribbean people fighting. There was like 8 different countries involved in fighting in the Revolutionary War from all over the world.
I saw somebody retweeting an article as a bunch of people lifting up a tank, like 3 people lifting up a tank. And they're like, see, they were creating super soldiers back in the day. I was like, or that was
the inflatable tank.
That was the inflatable tanks, the dummy tanks that they had during World War when we were going against the Nazis.
You know what's really funny? I just read it. Another little tidbit from history was the Germans were trying to do the same thing, and they had wood. They had like a base they were making like full of AA guns made of wood and all this fake stuff like that to try to make a fake front. But we knew that's what they were doing the whole time, so we let them spend all this money and do it, and then we just bombed the shit out of it.
We well, a lot of like the stuff that goes on is the fact of like we necessarily won that war was because we were like McDonald's cranking out tanks, and they were like every 1 tank that they had was worth like 3 of ours, but we always had 4. So it was like we'd always like overpower them with the amount of that we were producing, which was like a major tactic that we had. But like
arsenal of democracy.
Yeah, but even
that's Detroit. That's right where I'm from, baby.
After we killed one of them, we would take their weapon because their weapons were 1,000 times better than the ones that we had. Ours were just good enough because we had a lot of them. It's like why we lost a lot of people too. Like if you look at the body count for us is huge, and their body counts, they are significantly smaller as well too. But man, they covered up a lot of fucking land in that amount of time.
Yeah, we had a big body count though because we actually fought a war on 2 fronts, which I give us a lot of credit because Germany failed doing that, and we actually did a pretty good job at it because we were fighting the Japanese and the British. And the Germans.
Let's not get the UK listeners mad.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm sorry that we were on the same side.
They're still mad that we threw tea overboard.
They're still mad that they were trying to ask us for help for like 3 years, and we just basically said, "Oh, we don't want to get into war."
I can't attack. No, we're not going to go into that one.
I think we were actually given. I think that people here were actually selling munitions to the Germans during that until the war started.
We need to find a way to round off the end of this episode before we hit the 2-hour mark, and I can't edit it.
Why can't you edit it?
Because
you have shit to do.
Well, no, it's too long. This is not going to go up for a little bit, but it's too long. Spotify, when it gets close to 2 hours, the file's too large, so they won't let you edit any of like the creaks or any of like the people. Like when we start talking or any of that stuff, I can't just edit it in the thing because the file's too large. So that's going to be a tricky one when I edit a 7-hour episode. I wonder how I'm going to be able to do that one.
It's just going to have to be raw audio, or maybe do it in parts.
I thought about doing that, but I thought about if I just YouTube convert it after it's a YouTube video, and then just use that file that I've edited and then just put that on.
Make it an MP3. There you go.
We're fine.
That'll probably work.
Well, where can people find the Libservative movement, Mr. Corey Walsh?
So the Libservative Podcast, where me and my buddy Dan Griffin, we just talk about politics. Like we literally are trying to call the balls and strikes. As you could hear on here, obviously, like we talk shit about the Democrats and the Republicans. We just think that we could be doing a better job in general. So we're on Facebook as Libservative. We are on Twitter at Libservative Pod. We are on Instagram at Libservative Pod. We're on Podpage, and Simplecast is where our platform is. But you can find us on every podcast platform. We're even on Audible. Are you on Audible yet?
I'm on Amazon, Audible, I'm on like everything but Podbean, and I think I'm on Spreaker, but I don't know if they updated any of my stuff because they want you to pay.
Yeah, I didn't even think we were gonna be on Audible. Just all of a sudden we were on Audible. I was like, what the hell?
Just Google.
Yeah, no, we're always right. Yeah, it's good. It's not a bad thing. I wasn't upset about it.
I'm on Facebook podcasts.
I didn't know Facebook had a podcast.
Yeah, they updated to doing podcasts now. But the weird part is I always get a notification like we could not caption your video. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you want to caption it or not.
But so come check us out. We are right now. We're just doing our bourbon banters where we just talk about hot topics of what's going on during the week. We're gonna be dropping our season 2 where we're gonna be talking about corruption and how it's like a root of divisiveness in our country. But the first season we just rounded up. It was about the social media civil war. We have on a Dr. Dylan Seltzerman from the University of Maryland, actually, your home state. We talk about how the left needs to reframe their argument, and then we have on this guy Eric Slamkowski, and he was actually local. He was the in charge of Trump's campaign for 2016 here. He won all the counties he was in charge of. And so we have them two on, and we just talk about how we need to, when we have conversations on social media, how we needed to like not have our emotions attached to our conversations, be open, change your mind, avoid disingenuous conversation, and we're all just going to be a little bit happier about it. But yeah, we have a bunch of good ideas. We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff.
I'll get a tattoo on my ass for you guys.
Oh, shucks. I'll get an out of blank tattoo if you get a Libservative tattoo.
Is that an
swear to
undisclosed
God.
bet that we're doing?
Yeah, is that what we're about to do?
I'll get a Libservative tattoo going on my chest. It's just gonna suck because for me, you can tell because I crank out a lot of content that I'm going to be around. But for you, you could just be like, I don't feel like doing it anymore. I'm like, fuck, I got a Libservative tattoo. You're like, who the hell are you?
No, this one's gonna be sticking around for a while. I know 4 Guys at Once kind of fizzled out, but yeah, no, Libservative is gonna be there for a while.
Well, I'll make sure I link it all in the description. Is there anything you would like to let the audience know before we close out this episode?
Well, Robbie, there is. Listen to Out of the Blank podcast. This is a great podcast. That's a good time.
People think I'm going to be surprised at them promoting my own show on my show. I would say, you look like an asshole.